Welcome to The Stacks, a podcast about books and the people who read them. I'm your host, Tracy Thomas, and today I am thrilled to welcome to the show Nora McInerny. Nora is a best-selling author and the host of the award-winning podcast, Terrible, Thanks for Asking, where she shares stories about grief, resilience, and everything in between. She's the author of several books, including It's Okay to Laugh, Crying is Cool Too, and No Happy Endings, and her latest, Bad Vibes Only. Today, Nora and I talk about what it's like to be a grief person, how she deals with others' expectations, and what it's like to move on. In case you missed it, our book club pick for December is Tacky, Love Letters to the Worst Culture We Have to Offer by Rax King. We will be discussing the book on Wednesday, December 25th, yes, Christmas, with Nora McInerny. Everything we talk about on each episode of The Stacks can be found in the link in the show notes. And if you love this podcast and you want inside access to it, head to patreon.com/thestacks and join the Stacks Pack. Also, it is the holiday season and it's worth mentioning you can now gift subscriptions to the Stacks Pack to other book lovers in your life. For just $5 a month, you or your recipient will get to be part of the best bookish Discord that has ever existed. You will get to listen to monthly bonus episodes. You will get to join monthly virtual book club meetups. You will get to vote for our literary award called the Stackies. You will get to participate in the mega challenge. I am telling you, it is just $5 a month and you get so much good stuff. And you get to know that by joining the Stacks Pack, you make it possible for me to make this show every single week. Another perk, you get a shout out on the podcast. So shout out to our newest members, Paige, Jen Shute, Amber Larson, and Rachel Patterson. Thank you all so much. And for those of you listening at home who are like, I don't want all that stuff, but I do want to support the show, I've got something for you. You can get my newsletter directly to your inbox. All you have to do is go to tracythomas.substack.com and click subscribe. One more thing you can do, and this one's totally free, is you can make sure you are subscribed to this podcast. You can share it with a friend. You can tell them about it in person. You could also rate the show and leave a review on Spotify and/or Apple Podcasts. All of those things also help, and again, are totally free. So thank you to everyone who helps make this show possible. And now it's time for my conversation with Nora McInerny. All right, everybody, I'm so excited. I'm joined today by, I think, my newest best friend on the face of the earth, someone that I have so much in common with in the craziest, weirdest ways, which we will talk about. An author, a podcaster, a person that you probably already know and love, the wonderful Nora McInerny. Nora, welcome to The Stacks.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you for saying my last name correctly. And I just want to say to all your former best friends,
yes,
you had your time.
Yeah, you've been replaced.
And
you've
good riddance. Goodbye forever.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll miss you sometimes.
Sort of.
Likely not.
Yeah.
Okay, Nora. Tell the people a little bit about yourself. I know this is the worst part, but just in case they don't know who you are, just like do a little bit.
Yes. I am the writer of funny books about sad things and the creator of podcasts that kind of do the same. And my entire career, as I know it right now, for the past decade, was the result of the most successful piece of writing that I will ever do. And it wasn't even my own project. It was a co-write. My late husband, I'd never have said late husband. He's not fucking late. He's dead. My dead husband, my first husband, Aaron Permort, and I wrote his obituary together in 2014 when he was on hospice for brain cancer. The night he entered hospice, he really wanted to watch Game of Thrones. And I was like, will you help me with this? I was like, just in case, because like, I don't want to do this on my own. And it went viral, like 2014 viral, Tracy. And
that's real viral too.
Real viral. And you know what it led people to? My Tumblr. That's very 2014. And you know what that led to? A book deal. And that is the question that people always want to know about somebody else's career, which is like, how did you get there? The only route that works, fall in love, have them die. Yeah. And then the whole time that they were dying, have a Tumblr that is mostly password protected because it's kind of like a journal for you and your family. And then just go from there. Okay. Yeah. Then just be so depressed you can't go to work and sort of quit your job, but also like, you know, they kind of wanted you to leave. I don't know. So now I'm the host of a podcast called Terrible, Thanks for Asking. And a podcast called It's Going to Be Okay. And I've written 5 books that are about life and grief and kind of everything in between. And I'm so sorry that my elevator pitch is like the Willy Wonka elevator.
No, it's great. It's great. I think you nailed it.
Okay.
I think you nailed it. You're from the Midwest.
I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
But now you're in Arizona.
I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. I am an early bird, early snowbird.
Okay.
So, and I moved here when I was 37, and it was the pandemic. And I went to a store, Tracy. I was wearing a mask, and the store was Lululemon. I don't even know why I'm
laughing, but I'm already laughing.
Because you already know. And I was like, oh, I just moved here. And this girl goes, oh, did you retire? And I was like, I'm gonna
37
kill myself.
Bitch. Do you need my ID? Do you want to ID me?
I was like, yeah, I did. I was like, how old do you think I am? But when I was 22, anyone who was over, 25, I was like, are you dead?
Yeah.
Are you
an elder? Do you need help?
Are you okay?
Are you lost?
Yeah.
Okay. This is my big question for you. I really have one question for you, and I'm going to ask it in 7 different ways. But here's the first attempt.
Yeah.
Do you get tired of being the grief person?
Yeah, because I don't think I am, and I never tried to be.
But you are to so many people. You're the person where it's like when someone's husband dies or someone dies or something. It's like, oh, do you know Nora McInerny? You should listen to her podcast. So you don't think you're a grief person?
I don't. I don't think I'm a grief person necessarily. I've called myself a reluctant, grief advocate. And yet, Tracy, everything I do always has a sprinkle of sadness to it. I can't help it.
But you were not always, because I've read your books and you talk about how when you were young, you were like, nothing bad ever happens.
Yeah. And I was also just had this thread of dread running through me. And anxiety and depression. I was a depressed little kid too.
Interesting.
And nothing had happened. And yet I would, I couldn't go to a sleepover because then my family would die.
Okay, this was very relatable. This is one of the things we have in common.
I'm like, I got to get home. My whole family is gonna die. They are relying on me. If I'm not in that bed, it's curtains for all of them. It's curtains for all of them. And I never get sick of being, it's hard to explain. It's I never get sick. It's always I'm always relieved if somebody can find some comfort in those times in anything I've done. Right.
Right.
And I think anyone would be, I don't ever want to be just one thing. I never intended to be just one thing. I don't perceive myself that way. We were saying earlier, it's I don't even really perceive myself as a mom.
Right.
You know, when people are like, oh,
another thing we have in common.
Mom culture. I'm like, I have kids, but it's sort of kind of like a strange thing to me. And yet, even when I try to do something that is purely footloose and fancy free, I keep going. I can always find the little, the hard stuff.
Yeah. Do you feel okay, let me tell you why I would hate to be you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to be you for a lot of reasons, but the thing that I think about when I project myself on you is that I feel like people expect a certain thing from you and certain feelings and behaviors from you because many of us have followed you for such a long time and have been part of you or feel like we're part of your story because we were there when you were deep in the throes of grief. And then when you met your new husband and so it's I would feel stuck sometimes if I were you because I would feel there's an expectation.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
Yeah, I was not planning on talking about all this today, but I think it's actually a great day to talk about it. And that is one reason I put the podcast on hiatus in March. And by that, I just was I cannot keep up with this grind. And a part of it is, a lot of people are burned out working on my show. I don't know how inside podcast you want to get inside,
let's
sports
go
ball,
inside.
but it's like, as you may or may not know, as a listener, a bunch of VC money, a bunch of fake investment money poured into the podcasting space around, let's say 20, I don't know, 19, 20, whatever, who cares?
Yeah.
And a lot of that was through advertising, like direct to consumer brands, right? Where they're just pumping money in. It's all awareness campaigns. All of a sudden people are getting $1 million deals, $2 million deals, $10 million deals, $100 million deals to try to recoup some of that or try to fill all the available ad space shows should always be on. These deals happen. There aren't enough pillows in the world that you can sell to recoup $100 million. I was in public radio at the time making this show. And even if you were not making that kind of money, you were sort of pressured into becoming a show that was weekly. We ended up making a show that was, an HBO level show, right? Like highly produced. We do the interview, we listen to it for hours, we pull tape, we write a script, we craft a story. It's sound designed and We went from a seasonal model, like really in depth, to always on with no change in staff, right? And when an audience is, and this isn't everybody either. It's like, this is such a small percentage of the population, but when you start to get reviews or emails that are like, this just isn't sad anymore. Like, what happened? It's like, what do you think happened? Capitalism happened. And also, I am just a person. And when I open up my inbox and it's people who are just trauma dumping on me in a way that I didn't always consent to, this stuff comes at me in like, DMs on a Tuesday, and it'll be a horrifying photo that somebody sends me. And, I don't know where to put this. But, like my, baby was just killed by my ex-husband. And here's the photo of her in the NICU. True story, something that happened to me. And, I'm like sitting there on the couch with my kids, like, or when the expectation, like you mentioned, is like, oh, it better be sadder, it better be more traumatic, it better be. And if you really listen to the first season of my show, the first episodes really aren't about like death and grief. It's like about all kinds of things, like it's about all kinds of, difficult or challenging life experiences. And as my life as I've continued to live my life, I can't stay in that space forever. I can't stay in that space forever. So I kind of hit the pause button, hoping to have time to think about what I really, really want to do, which is scary because that's how I make money. And now there's less of it, but I that's kind of how we got to where we are now, where I'm kind of in that liminal space between things.
Right. I mean, something that I really respect about you, and a thing that we have in common, is that, I mean, not all of this part. What I respect about you is I feel like you're good at boundaries in a lot of ways. Like, I feel like you're really clear about, who you're supposed to be for other people. The thing that we have in common is that we don't put our kids on the internet. You used to, but you don't anymore. And I never did. When you're setting these boundaries, when you're taking a step back from the work, when you're changing the path, what's going on for you? Is it hard? Does it feel right? Do you know it's the right thing to do? Because that's where I struggle. Sometimes I'm like, I feel like I should do this. And then I'm like, what about the money? Like, what about the...
Yeah. I would say that's such a good compliment. And I'm so excited to go to therapy and tell my therapist that somebody said that about me, because she's going to be so proud of it. She was obviously a huge part of that. And, probably last winter, I was crying in her office and I was like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can do this. And she said, you got here. I've been waiting for you.
Yeah.
I was like,
She's so
damn,
proud of you.
okay. I was like, oh, okay. And I think that there is a natural terror to that. For a long time, I have been burned out. In 2022, when I went on the Bad Vibes Only tour, it was a combination book and podcast tour. And, the planning of that was largely me and my team. And it was 21 cities in 24 days, 11 live shows. And then the rest were like book events. And that is because like many people who have ADHD and perfectionism, I just had Post-its on a calendar. And when I saw blank days, I was like, I could do more.
I could fill that in.
I could fill that. Look, there's 2 spaces. Like, what am I going to do on those 2 days? I don't know, live your life. And, even before I went on that tour, I was having a full mental breakdown in a hotel room in Las Vegas, head under the pillow screaming, while my poor friend Caroline Moss had her headphones on and was working on her Black Friday content and was like, she's like, Wyatt, stop. Keep it down. Hoping I would get hit by a car, put into a light coma 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah. Nothing happens to my face or my spine. Maybe some appendages are injured. Yeah. No internal, just put into a twilight sleep. I wake up, no one's mad at me because I got hit by that car. So you can't be mad that the tour was canceled.
Right.
Just don't be mad at me. Like, that kind of fear is still there, right? If I change, and right now we're only making the podcast for paid subscribers. Right. And, we're coming back in the new year. I don't have a date for it, but we're coming back in a different way, cool. And in a way that I think is more reflective of where and how I am right now and the kinds of work that I want to do. Because, I got a text from one of my beloved aunts yesterday, and she said, hey, one of my husband's friends emailed you and this horrible thing happened to him. And I'm wondering if you saw the email. And I was like, I did not see the email, and let him know. I appreciate him reaching out, but I am not a trauma receptacle at this point in time.
Yes. I feel like so many authors who write memoirs have talked to me about this. Yeah. About this, when they go on their book tour and the things that they talk about in their memoir, then people come to the signing and are like, by the way, my da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. And I'm like, that seems just really awkward. Yeah. Okay, I want to pivot off you being sad.
Yes.
You're welcome. This is called a favor. Yeah. And I want to talk about all of us being sad. Because, okay, this is the thing that I love grief. I'm a grief enthusiast. Yeah. I like to read about it. I like to think about it. My dad died when I was 25. And so I feel like it really informed how I think about, when other people have lost or whatever. But a thing that I've been thinking a lot about recently, not just because the election was last week, but even before that, is collective grief or communal grief. Yeah. And you talk about, I think it's in Bad Vibes Only. You talk about everything is good and bad.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a hard one sometimes when we're in these moments of collective grief, because it's hard to admit that there's good and bad. So I wonder how you think, again, as a person that people look to in these moments where they feel bad, about the broader collective grief stuff.
Yeah. I also, if I can just go back to the first thing too, it's I will always, because I never want to sound and I hate my I just fucking don't want this. But it's not. Like you said, I will always be a grief enthusiast, right? That will always be a part of me. One thing that I know, I said it in my TED Talk before I even truly lived it, is wait, did I say it? I don't remember. But it's that will always be a part of me, right? But something I've told my kids about, all of their different life experiences too, is sometimes that will be the headline, and sometimes it will be a bullet, and sometimes it will be a footnote. Mm-hmm. It's not my headline anymore, is what I want to say. That is not my headline. It's always going to be a part of me. It's always going to be a thread through my work, but it is not my primary identity anymore.
Being a grief person.
Yeah. I think that there's more for me to experience, and there's more for me to talk about. And I built this little box for myself that really reflected what I needed at the time. And now it feels like it's time to kind of open that up and widen the aperture. Okay. So everything being good and bad. What was that question? Sorry.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, I actually want to talk about what you just said, because I feel like the other thing about grief is that in the sense that everything is good and bad, is that it is in everything.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? It's this idea, it's oh, this person is grieving currently for the next 6 weeks. But it's no, it's just sort of sprinkled on everything.
It's sprinkled in everything.
everything.
Like grieving people have to, okay, this is crazy, Tracy, but like Saturday morning, I woke up, I got a text and it was like, oh, this woman I went to college with, her husband died in the middle of the night. And they were about to go to a big college football game. It was like a big family thing, right? Like she wakes up, he's dead. He's got to go off to the morgue. And she's like, calls me and she's like, I mean, I still want to go to the game. Like, what else am I going to do today? I was like, girl, go to the game. Go to the game. Who cares? Right. I was like, you've never done this before. Your family's never done it before. He's never died before. Like, go to the game. Also, there might be another in a stadium of 30,000 people. You have no idea how many people's husbands dropped dead last night, you know?
Right. Like you could find your new best friend.
What else are you going to do though? You know what I mean? Like even when your world has fallen apart, the rest of the world is still spinning and you still have to go to Nordstrom and say, oh, I'm looking for a dress. And the person says, is it a special occasion? And you're like, I don't know. It's my husband's funeral, you know, and you just get to watch them. Right. You know, like you said, it's a part of everything.
So, but my question before was just about like collective grief or like broader grief. Do you think about that stuff a lot? Do you feel like, I don't know. I think I do think about it a lot recently, but I'm just curious about because you're a grief person.
Yeah. I mean, I think,
a reluctant one.
I mean, I think about that all the time. I thought about that when the pandemic started too, that there were people who were so disoriented by you know, the solitude or by, you know, the suddenness or by the loss of all of these experiences and people and states of being. And it felt very, very familiar to me as a widow. It really did. Yeah. I was like, oh, yeah, so that life has disappeared and now we're here. And now there's no floor and there's no ceiling. And somehow there's like one wall dangling from nowhere. It felt really familiar. And a lot of widows said the same thing. Like, oh yeah, we've somehow like been here before. And we are so, it's not just that we're like a grief intolerant, grief illiterate culture. Like we are a struggle illiterate, struggle intolerant culture. Like America loves a winner. Like that's what we like. We love a winner. And if you are having a hard time with anything, it is always boing flip back to you, right? It's your head, think different thoughts, like, you know, right thought, right action, all of this sort of cultish language that we use to take responsibility off of institutions and put it right back on an individual, which is not where it belongs. And that's why I try really, really, really hard to save my anger aim it a little bit higher than the person who is in front of me, because I have more in common with that person. Our struggles are intertwined in a way that they are not if you just like look up 10 or 20 floors. Like that's our common enemy. Okay.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll be back. Valentine's Day is upon us and I've got love on the brain. Love for books. Duh, of course. Hello. Did you forget what podcast you're listening to? I love bringing you all great reads, exclusive author interviews, and behind the scenes book gossip. But I can only do that with your support over on Patreon and Substack. Our Stacks Patreon community, also known as the Stacks Pack, is where you can go for book club meetups, a private, very active Discord, and a year-long mega reading challenge to help you achieve all your reading goals. Plus, you also get that monthly bonus episode. Now, over on the Substack, you can subscribe to my newsletter, Unstacked, where I keep the book conversations going. I also give you a healthy dose of sports and pop culture, definitely some hot takes happening over there. And again, that bonus episode. If you don't have a few dollars to spare, don't worry. There are free options on the Substack and the Patreon to get you a little extra Stacks magic. Making this podcast is a total team effort, and by supporting my Patreon and my Substack, you allow me to support my amazing team that makes the show possible every single week. So if you or your friends are looking to meet other book lovers and support this indie podcast, come hang out with me on Patreon, Substack, or both. I would love to have you. And since we're talking about love, you can gift subscriptions to the Patreon and the Substack for that special reader in your life. For the Stacks Pack, head to patreon.com/thestacks. And for the newsletter, head to traceythomas.substack.com. And also, there are links to both in the show notes. Okay, see you in the Stacks. Okay, this is the part of the show where we actually talk about books now.
Okay.
You're off the grief hot seat. You are now in, I've got my
worksheet.
Questions ready. But I do have one surprise thing for you before we do it.
Boy.
So every month we take a question from a listener. They're asking for a book recommendation. I'm going to read to you what they said.
Okay.
You're going to come up with at least one book.
Okay.
Up to 3. I'm going to do 3 because I'm prepared, but you're being surprised. Okay. So here we go. This one is, and we call this Ask the Stacks. If people at home want to have their book recommendations read on the air, you can email askthestacks@thestackspodcast.com. Okay, this comes from Aaliyah. Leah said, I loved your, this was not actually my last podcast, but she said, I loved your podcast with Andrew Leland about his book, The Country of the Blind. I am reading the book right now and I love it. I have heard you mention the idea of memoir plus as a genre where there is a strong narrative arc of a memoir with strategic exploration of historical or informational context to deepen the narrative. I feel like Invisible Child, which I also loved, is another book that does this, though it isn't a memoir. It does follow a person's story. What other books do you love in the memoir plus genre? I can go first.
Okay.
You can take some time.
Thank you.
Think. So the first one that comes to mind, which is more in line with Invisible Child, is the book His Name Was George Floyd by Robert Samuels and Toluse Olnuripa. It is about George Floyd. That's his name. And it's really great. I love the book. I knew it was going to win the Pulitzer Prize when I read it because it reminded me so much of Invisible Child, where they give George Floyd sort of the presidential treatment. So they tell you his life story, but they go back and find out like his ancestors who were enslaved, and they find out about the family who owned him, and they give you all this context on his life. I just think it's a really well done sort of biography plus, if you will. The next one I have is actually an essay collection. And it does relate to disability, similarly to Country of the Blind. It's called How to Tell When We Will Die by Johanna Hedva. It's a collection of essays all about disability, pain work, or care work, pain, kind of like the icky stuff like shit and piss, and also some of the like fun, creative thinking of wrestling as being like one of the most safe spaces like for bodies, and the way that like mosh pits take care of each other and stuff. And it's just really interesting thinking around disability. And I'm just a real big fan of Johanna Hedva's work because they're really badass. And then the last one is My Own Country by Abraham Verghese, who probably people know as the Covenant of Water guy. He used to be a doctor. He might still be. And when he immigrated to America in the 80s, and he was a doctor, and he was doing his residency in rural Tennessee, and he's an infectious disease specialist. And if you're following the dots around the late 80s and early 90s, that's AIDS time. And so he was this brown person from India in rural Tennessee treating people for this mysterious disease, which turns out to be HIV/AIDS. And it's his story about being there and like how he's treated and dealing with, heterosexual couples who are coming down with a gay plague from New York and like trying to negotiate all of these stereotypes. And it's just really, really beautifully written. So those would be my 3. Yeah. Did you come up with one?
Okay. So my suggestion is, have you read Brightsided by Barbara Ehrenreich? Okay.
No.
One of my favorite writers. She wrote Nickel and Dimed, which was that experimental memoir where she like basically tried to live on minimum wage in like the 90s in 3 different cities and discovered, it's impossible. Right. And I remember reading that when I was probably in college and realizing she had done one of the experiments in Minneapolis where I grew up, and just thinking like, oh. Okay. So this is Brightsided, How Positive Thinking is Undermining America. She has this way of writing that feels like you are reading a magazine and having a conversation. This is about toxic positivity, I think before that phrase was even coined or at least popularized. And starts with the story of her cancer diagnosis and what is wrapped up in more toxic positivity and positive thinking than cancer, right?
Cancer.
And that chapter is called Smile or Die. And I loved this book when I first read it, when it first came out. This is probably like the second or third copy that I've had. She's such a good researcher. She pulls from so many sources, interviews, life experience. It's just a fantastic book.
That sounds amazing. Yeah. Okay, Leah, if you read any of these books, you have to let us know what you think. And now onward, 2 books you love, Nora, and 1 book you hate.
Oh boy. Okay. I just want to start with a hate, but I don't want to. Okay, so first I'm going to start out by saying that when I love a book, I love it so much. And the book that I am absolutely in love with this year is I Cheerfully Refuse by Leif Enger.
I don't know
Leif
that.
Enger, I will not rest until everybody has read his books, but specifically I Cheerfully Refuse.
Okay.
It is an Odyssean journey in a near future where billionaires have raped and plundered our world and now live on in space or on like the water. Specifically, his books tend to take place on Lake Superior in northern Minnesota, and the main character is pulled into this journey, the hero's journey he does not want to take. It feels so immediate and feels so current and also feels like the past at the same time. The world has lost all hope, and yet this man and the little girl that he finds on his little boat on an inland sea called Lake Superior, they persist. It is such a beautiful, beautiful book. He belongs, it's timeless and it's timely. His use of language is so beautiful. I have bought that book so many times because I give it to people and I say, give this back to me. And I forget who has it. And then I can't stand to not have the book in my home. That is how much I love that book.
Okay. I love that.
The second is The Heart is a Lonely Hunter by Carson McCullers.
Okay.
And I read it when I was so young. I was reading books that maybe were not like completely age appropriate for me, but as a sort of like weirdly depressive little child who again had not experienced anything particularly difficult, but sort of like was ready with that kind of like existential dread. I just loved her. She's, I want to say like Southern Gothic, but sometimes I'm dumb and I don't know if that's like quite the right way to like describe it.
I don't know anything about books actually. So
okay, good. Same.
Clue.
I'm like, oh, I don't know. Was that a past participle? Couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you. Sorry.
I still don't know the 3 voices. I'm like first.
It could be omniscient. Same.
Yeah.
Also,
second, who knows?
I'm attempting to write fiction right now, and I'll Google like, wait, what tense for book? What do I like? I'm like, I can't. Is it now or did it already happen? I can't tell. I'll change my tenses all the time. But those are 2 books that I like have to have in my shelves at all times. A book I hate. Just one. Book I hate. Dude,
I love a hate.
Hate men's self-help. But I have a special hatred for Tim Ferriss and the 4-Hour Workweek.
Oh.
The way that book wrapped its grubby little fingers around a generation of men, celebrated scamming, essentially, right? Yeah. Like no one works a 4-hour work week. Okay, that's not a thing. He essentially was like, just sell vitamins on the internet and drop ship them. Okay, wow, what a genius.
What an MLM.
What an MLM. What in the MLM are you talking about, right? And just sort of elevated him into this echelon of like thinkers when I've never read a more thoughtless book. I just think anytime I see that somewhere, I think, what are you talking about? In that same vein, like you are a badass. Book.
Hate.
Any book. Actually, there's one more that I just like. It's like I hate. It all just feels like one giant grift one giant grift. And all these people know each other and they all promote each other and they're all saying the same thing, which is like, you can do it. Honestly, you probably can't. You probably can't. You probably can't. If this is a person writing a book who is in the right place at the right time, you could make a podcast that is just as good as mine, if not better, without a giant machine behind you in the year 2024. You could not match the success I have had. You couldn't. And I couldn't either. I can't do it again. It's not happening again. I did it once and that's it. And that's what people will never tell you about their success, is that they cannot replicate it. They can just sell the dream to you.
Right. Oh, that's so good. Okay. What kind of reader are you? We didn't even talk about your book podcast that you had. Yeah. But you had one called Terrible Reading Club.
Yes. Because I love to talk about books, but I also just love to start things. And then I also just, I like the 24 cities in 21 days or 21 cities in 24 days. I'm just like, who's going to do this? Like, when am I going to do this? Right.
This is how I feel about my Substack. I'm like, I had this great idea. Now I'm like, who writes this every week?
Who's going to do this? Me? I do this? Me? Okay. I do this. I read, I won't say I read everything, but I am a eclectic reader. I don't read what books are about before I pick them up. I'm literally judging a book on a vibe, on a cover, on if I've seen like if I've scrolled through and someone's like, here's what I liked about this book. I don't need to know the plot going in for a novel. I just go right in. Go right in. And
I'm a little bit like that. I mean, I sort of have to know because of my stupid job, but a lot of times someone will like pitch a book to me and I'm like, if the first sentence sounds like something I could do, great. If it's a paragraph, I just want to know, like, Michelle is friends with Romy and they're going to the reunion. I'm like, great, done.
Great, that's all I need. Don't tell me more. Don't tell me more. I don't want to know more. So
I don't want to know.
I read, I wouldn't say like a ton of nonfiction. I don't love instructive nonfiction. Yeah. I do like a blend of sort of like history, or this is a book that I paid like $30 for this book. There was an event for this book from Harvard Press. Look how tiny this is.
Oh, okay. This book,
The Privateers, How Billionaires Created a Culture War and Sold School Vulture. Same thing, school vouchers. There was an event with him at our local bookstore and I couldn't make it. So I had to buy this book like online from Harvard Press for $30. And so these are the kinds of like nonfiction books I like. Like tell me a story while also giving me an education on a topic that I did not know I was about to be interested in.
Yes. I love nonfiction. So, but I love an academic book. Sometimes they can be really dry, but if they're well written, I'm like, yes, teach me the ways of the world. Yes. How did we get here? Please answer.
Yes.
What's the last just like really great book you've read?
Okay. The last really, really great one where I was talking out loud to myself as I read it and like being like, like I was by a pool, which is one of my favorite places to read. Heat of summer here in Phoenix, Arizona, at a resort, which are the best time to go is in the dead of summer. And I read Slow Dance by Rainbow Rowell.
I don't know this. We have very different book tastes. I'm loving this. I feel like you're going to add to my list.
Every book she has written, like Landline, Eleanor and Park. I think a lot of her books are somehow like cast into YA, even though they're just really beautiful fiction. This is but it's like I don't want to classify it as a romance because it's not a tropey cartoon character cover. I'm not slamming those. That's just not that specifically is just not my vibe. Like I don't like really need to like read people banging. I don't know. Just something about it. And I was like, okay. LOL. All right.
You're a prude. I read that in your book.
I really
am. So am I.
Yeah. I'm like, oh.
But when I read romance, I only want the sex.
Oh.
I'm like, like if I'm going to read a romance and it's like, oh, and then they go in the bedroom and close the door. I'm like, no, bitch. How was her heat feeling between her legs?
The heat between her legs rose.
The throbbing.
She felt him grow hard against his jeans. So I was like,
yes, LOL.
But it's okay. So this is the story of friends from high school, like that really kind of intense friendship you can have with a person of either sex, by the way, where it's like, it's so bordering on love that you cannot tell if it is or not. And then their reunion, they go back to their high school reunion. It switches points of view and it also switches time, but she sets it in a time before iPhones, which I really, really like. So they graduated in like the 90s. Their reunion is 2006. So there's so much longing, and it honestly made me long for the days of longing.
I love that. I love that. Yes, because like technology makes it so that it's a lot harder to long in the same way. Like you don't have to wait as much.
No, you don't have to wait for an email, which was, even that. It was like, I remember waiting for letters. I remember waiting for emails. I remember, like anticipation in a way that you just don't have it in the same way now, because you really can have so much more access to a person and like peek into their lives, even if you've lost touch. So it was truly such a beautiful, beautiful read. Every time I finish one of her books, I'm like, she better be working on another one. Like she better be at work right now. I've got no patience for Rainbow Rowell. She better be, I don't want to see her having fun. I don't want her engaging with friends and family. I want her at the computer, tapping away, building me a new world. Now.
Yes. Get to work, lady.
Get to work.
What are you reading right now?
Okay, I just finished a book last night called A Better Ending, which is nonfiction, a memoir about this man whose sister died in the 1970s, his younger sister. Okay. It was reported as a suicide. Her husband was a cop.
I know where this is going.
Yeah. And he picks the story. He basically starts pursuing the story in the early 2000s and just published this book. Will publish, I think, in March. And I really, really did love this book. He's very fair. He's just like, he's obviously from a different generation. I think he's got to be like almost 80 years old now.
Oh,
and
shit.
So it's almost like a family memoir too, but it's also just the story of really, really searching for the truth about a sibling. Mm-hmm. When, again, he's like digging into not only just like the past, but a past that is very easy to hide and to disappear because it's all on paper.
Yeah.
So, and now I just started All Fours last night, which is I'm the last person on earth to read that one.
I haven't read it, and I don't think I will. Okay. Yeah, honestly, I saw Miranda July live when my husband was dying. It was at like the Walker Arts Center in Minneapolis, and she stood on stage for the first 10 minutes and just stared at the audience. And no, thank you.
I was so angry. I was shaking with rage. I was shaking with rage. I was like, I'll give you something real. I left early and I remember this man like grumbling, and I leaned over him and I go, well, my fucking husband's dying. And I hope he remembers that, because he was just being such an art snob about it. Like, I just can't let her just leave. I was like, I'll fucking leave right now, dude.
I'll leave. I want.
You think I'm going to watch this doe-eyed deer of a lady just stare at us? I paid $60 for this or whatever. Who knows what I paid. But I was just like, you got to be joking. This is why people hate art. This is why. Okay? Guess what? When 2016 happens, it's your fault. Everyone in this theater is at fault. Okay? I was not in my best space. But I really, she wrote this nonfiction book, Nobody Belongs Here More Than You. Oh, yeah. That I had loved. I had loved that book because I am odd in that same way. And then it's like, I just realized I've been holding a grudge against Miranda July for getting on stage and staring at us. And then another part of the show is like inviting people on stage and like to pretend like they were in a marketplace. I don't know. I just was like, I don't like art. I don't like this. I'm leaving.
No.
So yeah, so that's, no, I'm starting that. And then I am also, I'm going to give that book like 20 pages. And if I'm not into it, I'm out, because I have the new Elizabeth Strout book, and I would read
Oh.
anything by Elizabeth Strout. I want to live in her LL Bean catalog world. I really do. There's something about her. There is something about her.
I love this. Okay. Do you have a favorite bookstore?
My favorite bookstore is whatever bookstore I'm in, but in the Twin Cities, it's Subtext, a bookstore. It's this itty bitty bookstore in St. Paul. I love them. I love the people there. It's cozy. It's not a place, they might have like one little couch or like a couple chairs or something, but it's really just like this little nook. It's like a little book nook. And if I'm in Minneapolis, it's Majors and Quinn. They have a great like also selection of like rare old books. So my dad loved it there also. And in Phoenix, it's Changing Hands bookstore. But if I'm going to a new city, I will find a small bookstore and I will purchase books because nothing fits in your suitcase more than several books.
That's exactly right. Well, I use them to push down all of my clothes that I didn't need to pack.
Oh, smart compression.
I'm like, oh, this is actually a useful tool. These books that I didn't need to buy.
Compression packing. That's so smart.
Exactly.
So smart.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I am very smart.
Yeah. Yes.
Obviously. What's the last book that made you cry?
Oh, okay. It is Ask Not, the true story of the Kennedys and the women they destroyed.
Oh my God, I just added that book to my list yesterday.
Oh man, it is. And it also, I was talking out loud to myself the whole time. I was like, oh boy. So it filled me with rage. I cried numerous times, but especially because I really did hold up, Jackie Kennedy in my early widowhood. I was like, God, it's too bad Aaron didn't have a Jackie Kennedy there, right? Someone who could just hold it together, somebody who could, look good, do the part, keep her SHIT together. You know what? She didn't, guys. She didn't.
Yeah.
She really had a hard go of it. And so many women in that orbit did. So justice for all of them. And when you find out what really happened.
Okay. I can't wait. Oh my gosh. Okay.
I'm
going to read that like starting today.
When you find out how Mary Jo Kopechne really died.
Oh yeah.
Ted Kennedy, it's not over.
Yeah.
It's not over, buddy. It's not over. Because guess what? I am about to pull a Kim Kardashian. I'm going to law school. I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to declare myself a lawyer, and I will figure it out, and I will find justice. And there's so many. It's a rager. That book is a rager.
Okay, I might have to squeeze this in before the end of the year.
You have to.
I'm in this phase right now where I'm like trying to squeeze in my last few reads of the year before I move on to 2025.
Yeah,
but then I always feel like I hear about a few books at the end of the year when these lists start coming out, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta squeeze it in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That one's happening. Okay. Are there any books that you're embarrassed about like loving?
Oh, about loving? No, you cannot shame me for liking a book or liking anything, really. Those days have have passed for me. I like what I like, and I don't really need to justify it. I am embarrassed that I did listen to The Secret on audiobook, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is making some good points. And really, The Secret was you're depressed, go see a therapist. That's the secret. That's the secret. You need an antidepressant. You need to break up with this boyfriend. You need to, it's not, you don't need to write things down in a journal. You literally are clinically depressed right now. That is what you are experiencing. Okay. You didn't ask the universe for depression, you silly little creature. And I would listen to that book walking to the subway station to go to a job that I hated and made me depressed and be like, yeah, I don't know what I'm asking the universe for, but I brought this on myself. That is one. But really, I just look back and I'm like, oh, you just didn't know. You just didn't know. You just didn't know. Yeah.
Are there any books that you're embarrassed about never having read?
So when I see a list, like the New York Times, like 100 books you have to read, and I find myself scrolling to check off one that I've read, and it's a long scroll. Yeah. My mom printed that list for me, and I was like, okay. Okay. Four. I've got 4 of these. Yeah. Or there's books where I'm like, is this good, or did we all just kind of like what's going on here? There's a lot of those. Yeah, there's a lot of books like that where I'm like, what? That's how I felt for probably the first 400 pages of My Brilliant Friend. I never read it. I was like, what? What? And
did you come around to it? Did you end up liking it?
At the end, I did. What I really did like about that book was it somehow captured that, and sometimes I think books in translation too, we're like, wow, this is so genius. Oh my God. And it's like, I don't know. I think it's just words describing a thing. But that's what taste is too. It's just so interesting to me because there are books that I've loved that people find horrible, and there are books that other people have loved that I'm like, what are you talking about? But I did come around to it because there was something about the way that it captures like that truly romantic love between young girls who, when you have a friend like that, when you are so young, it is a depth of love that no life partner is ever going to be able to top.
Right.
Like they just know you, see you, get you, and like that sort of fascination too. Like when you're watching like another girl from afar and you're like, am I in love with her or do I want to be her? I don't know.
Right.
Like that's what that book did just like so beautifully.
I feel like that's sort of like our friendship, a depth of love that no one could ever comprehend.
I hope people understand that.
Yeah. If you don't, go read My Brilliant Friend because it was written about Nora and I.
It's
the number one most important book ever written, according to the New York Times, was written on our friendship. So you're welcome, Elena Ferrante, whoever you are.
Whoever you are. And by the way, no one knows who that is.
No one knows who that is. And honestly, I never want to find out.
I don't either.
It would be such a horrible, horrible moment in history if some fucking journalist goes sticking their nose in Elena Ferrante's business and we have to find out that it's some fucking man in Chicago who could speak Italian or whatever the fuck writing about young girls.
If you're a journalist, shut up. Okay.
There is other work to be done.
There's other work. Go rip the lid off literally anything else. But if I find out that someone is trying to, solve this mystery, I will disapprove. And you will have to live with that disapproval. I will find you. Yeah, I will find you and I will say, stop. Don't do that.
I will delete your hard drive. Okay?
Yeah. So. When I figure out how to do that, I will. Okay.
Do you have any favorite books that you were assigned in school?
There's so many. I had really, really, really good English teachers.
Oh, you did?
I did. I had just the best English teachers. And I mean, in high school, maybe it was like 9th grade English, we read Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. And I just remember and then somebody told me that was like controversial. And I was like, what? And we read like Invisible Man in like 9th grade English. And we read Catcher in the Rye, which, I know some people really, really hate that book. And I'm like, that book was like, I was like, but I still didn't I didn't pick up on this is like a depressed person.
Yeah.
And I don't I don't remember even anything about the plot of that book other than just feeling this is how I feel inside sometimes,
Yeah. Okay. If you could assign, if you were a high school teacher, English teacher, what's a book you would assign to your students?
Oh God, I would assign them like more memoir because, and I wish, oh God, and I've read that, like that was one of this was one of the ones that I just wrote question mark on when you sent me these in advance. I was like dreading this one because I'm like, oh God. But I wish that I had read more memoir when I was younger because and more like small, ordinary memoir because
Sure.
I didn't know that you could just like write a book about your life unless it was something like truly like remarkable and spectacular. And there are so many, like my favorite memoirs are ones where it's just like a regular person's life, you know?
Right. Yeah. No, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, yes. Okay. I have two more. One is, what are some of your favorite books about grief?
Oh, okay. I love Pema Chodron and I when I was in grief, there's not a single grief book that I would have read.
Yeah.
There just wasn't. You know, I'm like, sorry, I'm already there. I don't need this right now.
Right.
But after like, you know, sort of like the abject, the acute part of grief, I found a lot of comfort in When Things Fall Apart by Pema Chodron. And it's not even necessarily it's not about death, right? It is about change. And what I like about her writing is it doesn't feel sanctimonious because she is just like a regular lady who became like a Buddhist monk. And the pettiness is on the page. Like she talks about her husband leaving her and her just like throwing rocks at him, like just pelting him with rocks, you know? And I'm like, yeah, that's how I want my wisdom. That's who I want my wisdom from, right? Is a person who, when confronted with the end of her marriage, would pick up a rock and hurl it at a man. That's who I want my wisdom from. And I really love the book Grief Strike by Jason Roeder. He wrote the Onion headline, "No way to prevent this," says only country where this happens. He's so funny. And he wrote this like satirical grief book after his mom died. And I read it on a plane and I had church giggles, like just like, like trying not to laugh, which just makes it worse.
Yes.
It was so funny. It's so absurd and witty and clever. And I just loved it. And okay. Oh God. Also, there's this book. It's a memoir. This is Memoir Plus. Oh my God. It's all coming full circle. It's called,
Leah, this is for you. Okay. Listen up.
It's called Did I Ever Tell You? It's it's a memoir of this woman whose mom died when she was a kid and who left her letters for her to read throughout her life. Oh, it's like, it's a weeper, but it's really, it's just beautiful. It's so good. It's so good.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Last one. If you could require the current president of the United States, Joseph Robinette Biden, to read one book, what would it be?
I'm not confident that he could do that right now.
Okay. I'm so sad that this question has to go back to Trump. When I started the podcast, it was Trump, and I used to get the most asinine answers, and I was so happy, selfishly. And on the night of the election,
honestly,
we found out,
you know what?
I turned to my husband and
You're like, I don't want to do this. I can't
believe I have to ask this about Trump. And he goes, well, you could just stop asking the question. I said, I will not let that man change my show.
Don't. Okay, I will. Okay, actually, I would have him read Ask Not because I want to hear, because he knows some of these people. He knows some of these people.
Him and Teddy were great friends.
Yeah, I want him to read that book, and I want to watch him do it.
That's such a good answer. Okay, party people, we're done. We've been droning on. Unfortunately for you, Nora's back at the end of the month.
Too bad, guys.
Yeah. And we are going to do book club. And what's hilarious about this is we actually haven't picked the book club pick while we're recording. So we're going to do that after. And you'll know it when you hear this episode, but we don't know it right now. So
we don't know it.
We don't know it. But I will link to all of Nora's books and where you can find her and her shows and everything in the show notes. Nora my best friend. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh my God. I'm going to text you right after this so we can talk some more shit too.
Literally can't
Okay.
wait. Everyone else, we will see you in the stacks.
Bye.
All right, y'all, that does it for us today. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you again to Nora McInerny for joining the show. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to Pete Forrester for making this episode possible. Don't forget, the Stacks Book Club pick for December is Tacky, Love Letters to the Worst Culture We Have to Offer by Rax King. We will be discussing the book on Wednesday, December 25th with Nora McInerny. If you love the show and you want inside access to it, go to patreon.com/thestacks and join the Stacks Pack and subscribe to my newsletter at tracythomas.substack.com. Make sure you're subscribed to the Stacks wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you're listening through Apple Podcasts or Spotify, be sure to leave us a rating and a review. For more from the Stacks, follow us on social media at The Stacks Pod on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. And you can check out our website at thestackspodcast.com. This episode of The Stacks was edited by Christian Duenas with production assistance from Megan Caballero. Our graphic designer is Robin McCrite, and our theme music is from Tegirigis. The Stacks is created and produced by me, Tracy Thomas.